Hello everyone, welcome to yet another day in this, the Clown Decade, the decade where things are only going to get worse before they get better. And today, just to get right into it, we are going through a rather biblical expose from The Times, which they've named Cash for Courses. Top universities recruit foreign students on low grades, while Britons need straight A's to get into prestigious Russell Group degree courses. Their international classmates can buy their way in through secret routes. And when it comes to immigration, student visas have to be one of the worst problems that we're running into, as a total of 408,966 student visas were issued over the first 3 quarters of the year, from January to September of 2023, and that doesn't include visas issued to dependents. So in terms of immigration, students are making up close to half of the total number of immigrants coming over based on student visas alone. And as it says, this doesn't include dependents, which in 2022 increased by 750% since 2019 to 136,000 people, meaning that students plus their dependents make up about 540,000 immigrants to the UK, which is well over half of the number of immigrants coming over to the UK. So yes, when it comes to the immigration problem, student visas and their dependent visas seem to be one of the biggest slice of the pies when it comes to immigration. It's probably part of the reason university towns tend to have quite high numbers of foreign-born people living in them. And the main reason this is happening is because universities massively benefit from it. So let's take a look at the Times findings. Britain's top universities are paying middlemen to recruit lucrative overseas students on far lower grades than those required of UK applicants, an undercover investigation has revealed. Foreign students can buy their way onto highly competitive degree courses with as little as a handful of C grades at GCSE. The courses require British students to have an A or A star grade at A level. So just for those of you who aren't British, just to put that into context, A levels are the qualifications you get at the age of 18 in colleges, sixth forms, at the end of high school for some people. And in my experience, they are very difficult to get. I ended up with, was it 2 A's and a B or an A and 2 B's? I can't remember. But an A star is, from what I can tell, ridiculously difficult to get. You need to score at least 90% on every single one of your papers and courseworks to end up with an A star grade, but an A is still pretty impressive. GCSEs are what you do when you are 16. They are the end of your American high schools, I guess. And you get a C grade at 70% and above, but GCSE papers are much, much easier than A-level papers. Though they've changed the system in the UK to numbers now, and I don't know what the numbers mean. But I do know that they are still equivalent, so 70% and above is a C grade or above, and foreign students only need to get that to get into universities in Britain, compared to the British, who have to get ridiculously high results to get into elite universities. As they say, representatives of the elite Russell Group universities were secretly filmed discussing the backdoor routes used to recruit overseas students who pay much higher fees than their UK counterparts. And, well, let's take a look at this Project Veritas style hidden footage.
International pay more money,
Yeah,
and the school will receive almost double.
yes.
So they give a lean way for international students.
Well, I'm glad that's just completely out in the open. We make it much easier for foreign students to come in because we get double the money we would from UK students. And the thing is, I don't even think you can necessarily completely blame this on Blair. Blair wanted half of UK students going to university, not the entire world. However, you can probably blame him for the changes made to the university system that allowed for literally hundreds of universities to be made that absolutely should not have been made, and the changes to student loan which completely incentivised them to make absolutely nonsense courses. Courses that even grifters are happy to say are just a complete grift and are just there to make everyone money. Here's Kahindi Andrews saying that exact thing.
It was because they started charging students fees in 2017. We could get an unlimited amount of students, and I literally went to uni and said, look, we're the only place in the country that could do this. We could make money. And that's how we got black studies, right? Interest convergence. None of the people who did that were allies.
So yes, it's not just foreign students that are the issue here, it's the fact that we also have literal scam courses at universities. But anyway, we're focusing on foreign students for now, so do carry on.
Russell Group universities pay a network of agents to recruit foreign students whose parents can afford to pay far higher fees than British students.
Yeah, that's not surprising. And once again, this whole issue has meant that universities are diverting their money away from useful research grants and things like that towards completely useless, effectively scam artists, foreign recruiters and things like that. If there's one thing I learned at university, it's that universities are experts at just completely wasting money. My student union completely renovated its main building every single year I was there, simply to use up their budget, which is a problem that we see everywhere when it comes to public money being spent. If you've got no incentive to use the money efficiently, you will just burn it.
We went undercover posing as the parents of overseas teenagers who had achieved exam results far below the university's normal entry requirements.
I'm interested to know how exactly they posed as foreign parents. I guess we'll find out, but I am not expecting a dignified conversation here from the university representative.
We visited Sam Lamb, who works for Amber Education and is an official student recruitment agent for the universities of Exeter and Durham.
Yep, both very good universities, both in the Russell Group. Let's see how embarrassing this conversation gets.
Exeter, you have to understand, because it's quite a prestige university.
Yeah.
Just the local, all the schools around, like Somerset, Devons, all the students want to go into Exeter.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is. I went to school in Manchester, and I really don't remember that many people that desperate to go to Manchester Uni, and I think in the end I can count on two hands the amount of people in my year that actually ended up going to the University of Manchester. Genuinely, a lot of people's ideas for going to university is to get far enough away from your parents that they can't make a surprise visit, but be close enough that if there is an emergency, they can get to you within a few hours. And that was mainly for the people that were going to university just because they felt like they had to. For a lot of the other people, myself included, they obviously chose the course that was best for them, and that was quite rarely at Manchester. The people I know who went to Manchester all went there to either do physics or astrophysics.
And that's why they have such high requirement.
If Russell Group universities only have high requirements to offset the demand, I think that's a very silly way to think about it. I don't think Russell Group universities, I know I'm being told by a recruitment agent that this is what they do, but I'll put it another way. I'm quite shocked that it is just to offset demand from British students that the requirements are so high. It was always assumed when I was going to university that the requirements were there to show that you are a good academic. And it was actually quite rare to see a university say you need to get above a C grade to get in. Most of the time it was A's and B's. And if you were looking at Oxford and Cambridge, you were looking at straight A's and A stars. But apparently that's not for the prestige. That is just to offset the amount of people that want to go there.
But we were told not to worry, because there was an alternative route for foreign students if they could afford to pay higher fees.
I mean, from the way this is all being described, it just screams bribery. And as mentioned before with the scam university courses, it's not a surprise that universities are just doing everything they can to try and get more money. To which I couldn't even tell you what they plan to actually do with that money. They could just save the money by not giving the student unions budgets to renovate their student unions every year. I can literally put it down to nothing other than just greed.
Again, international pay more money.
Yeah.
And the school will receive almost double.
Yes.
So they give a lean way for international students.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of difference between GCSEs and A levels.
It's a lot.
I just want to point out at this point that the Times reporters have apparently gone disguised as parents of international students, but they sound more British than the Recruiter. I'm just saying, this could be privilege of hindsight, but I'd like to think if I was in that chair offering all these great benefits to the parents of foreign students, I'd be thinking at the back of my mind, why do they sound so English? But yeah, foreign students can literally just get their parents to pay their way into a prestigious university. And a lot of universities also seem to have direct links to China, because on days where foreign students are coming in to actually register for the university, I'm not joking when I say this, but I have passed lines of probably 200 to 300 Chinese students ready to sign up to the University of Manchester. I'm also pretty sure that is where I first caught COVID, by the way, because I walked past all these people. And I was very, very ill for the next week.
That's why you don't have to go through that way.
So yes, this recruiter is giving these Times reported us the offer of, oh, they have C's and GCSEs, right, that's fine, just pay us double then. Like, it's a literal scam. So good on the Times for exposing this absolutely ridiculous backdoor route for foreign students. Because the immigration debate is one thing, but this is obviously completely unfair to British students as well. They have to work incredibly hard, as I know from experience, for A-levels and good GCSEs, because there are some university courses that require good GCSEs as well. And their spaces are being completely taken up because the university has thought, oh, we can just make double the money if we allow foreign students in, so we don't really care what their grades were.
Lamb explained there were special pathway courses for foreign students who did not achieve the grades to get into university the normal way.
Yes, and from what I understand, these foundation courses, I believe they're called, are not open to British students because, as is being made very clear, they aren't as lucrative as foreign students. They just want the money.
I'm kind of surprised that these pathway courses aren't better known. The university is a bit reluctant to publicise them. Yeah, I suppose so.
I advertise it to my Hong Kong student.
Yeah.
They wouldn't advertise to the UK local students.
Because it's
they
just
wouldn't
not
put posters. They wouldn't accept
No,
it.
I suppose
they
so.
wouldn't pay the difference in fee, and they will not be qualified because they're home student. That's different queue.
If any Americans or any foreigners are watching this, the UK is literally a country where, for some reason, every institution is trying to disadvantage native British people as much as they can, because this isn't just in universities. This is when you're applying for jobs. This is arguably even when you're in court cases. I mean, this is why so many young people are considering moving country, going to Australia, New Zealand, even America, because it doesn't feel like those countries are saying up yours like every British institution feels like they're saying to them instead. So why wouldn't they move? I mean, I refuse to move because I don't see the point in running away when I need to stay here and make sure that I can do what I can to fix this problem. You know, this is my country. I don't see why I should allow it to say up yours to me. And running away, I can do absolutely nothing. However, on the other hand, if you don't really care, the only advice I do have for you is, yeah, sure, move to Australia and New Zealand or America. You're just going to have a better time, especially financially.
I just wonder whether the universities were slightly embarrassed that they have one standard for one and one standard. Yeah.
It's not something they want to tell you, but it's the truth.
The way this guy is slimily smiling about the fact that he's basically just saying, oh yeah, no, the universities are just shameless about this. Everyone in the world knows apart from Britain. Once again, Brits are kept in the dark about their own institutions hating them. If you ever wanted concrete proof that British institutions are just saying up yours, I think this sly smile is the best evidence I can give you for now. But you just wait until we get into the statistics later. Anyway, next up they go to Exeter University to another recruitment agent. Let's see if this is much better.
We asked what A-level grades British students would need to achieve to gain entry into Exeter's prestigious business school.
I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark and assume that it is literally just C's, both at GCSE and A-levels, because this is how much our own institutions hate Brits.
For direct entry, I think the standard entry requirement for business program will be AAB.
That sounds pretty standard for an entry level for pretty much any course I looked at. I mean, I did sciences, but business programs are also quite prestigious at these universities.
For your son that's studying A-levels, to get onto the program, I think Foundation International, it would be C, yes, 2 C's and a D.
Right, yeah.
But I think there's flexibility on those entry requirements as well.
My God, the flexibility as well just annoys me. When it comes to A-levels, C's are 70% and above and D's are 60% and above, but to actually fail a A-level, I think you need to get 40% or below, which is below an A. And I would not be shocked if some of the foreign students going to university have 3 E's, or probably not even that, maybe just 1 E. But then they can just go into these foundational courses that are just barred off from UK students who end up having to go through clearing, and if they're lucky they'll find something. I mean, the amount of people I know who didn't quite get the grades, they were 1 grade off getting into their university of choice, and the university just says, no, go into clearing, and then they have to go to a polytechnic university or something like that, is ridiculous. And then it turns out if you're an international student, oh, get 3Es. No, just come in. Just give us millions and we'll let you in. And people at these universities will constantly wonder why the general British public absolutely hate them. Because if they're not making absolutely nonsense research about black people being the most affected by the Black Death in London, then the institution they work for are letting foreigners in at a much lower bar than the UK students. Effectively, it just looks like they hate us. That's why everyone hates them.
He got David got CCD.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
So that's
yeah, so he would be able to get onto our programmes.
Well, good for this fake David, but my Tom, who got AAB, no, he's not allowed to get into University of Manchester. No, he's going to have to get through clearing to go to the University of Glasgow, which, by the way, charges him full price because he's English, but, if he was Scottish or from the EU, it would be free. It's honestly no wonder that, I mean, obviously the Brits are hated by everyone, but the English especially are so much more nationalistic than everyone else because everyone just hates the English. Our institutions go out of our way to make it harder for the English.
It's basically tick everything we need for academic entry requirements.
great.
So CCD for A levels and C in mathematics is perfect for in fact for year 1.
Just for context, I know for the business route at my university, I believe the entry requirement was ABB at A levels, and you needed at least a B in GCSE maths. But again, already the bar's higher at just every single level. And it's just not reasonable. That's why there's such an outrage about this. And it's why I'm getting outraged in this video, because this is absolutely ridiculous. Why is the British government allowing pretty much every institution to disadvantage their own people? It's no wonder there was such a big cheer when they finally said British social housing for British workers. I mean, I don't think it's the right route to go down for fixing the issues in Britain, but my God, I scroll TikTok every now and then. The amount of people on the left who are saying, oh, well, this is just an abhorrent thing to do. I mean, look at Sweden. They let absolutely anyone get social housing. Why are there so many grenade attacks in Sweden now? There just doesn't seem to be any sort of empathy at all for poor British people. And even talking about this clearly unfair system, you're still called a racist. So at this point, I just ignore it. I literally just ignore it. I don't care anymore. I've not cared for a long time, really, but I would at least address someone and say, no, I'm not racist, but I don't even do that anymore. I just don't care. Call me racist. I really don't care. You are not a good person just because you cry racism every time you don't know how to argue.
International Year 1 is the name of the special pathway only open to foreign students.
And you know what? I wouldn't mind that if the entry requirement was much higher. Because if you're getting foreign people to come to our universities who are actually very high performers, that's great. Do that. Could do with that talent. But given it's people that are literally just there to make the university double the money a British student would, and they probably wouldn't work as hard because they're just finding the easy way through life thanks to their rich parents, then yeah, forget that. Get rid of it. What a ridiculous system.
It's a one-year course taught by Into. Afterwards, students go straight into the second year of the university's normal degree course.
Whoa, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know it was just an alternative first year. I remember first year at my university and I thought it was all pretty foundational. However, just for a bit of context, I did geology. But I did geology at A level, so I was actually quite far ahead of quite a lot of other people because geology wasn't an option for most people. Geology seems to be quite a common A level that's offered in Wales, but in England, it seems to be only certain schools that allow it, and luckily my school did allow it, and I absolutely loved it. But the fact that, again, you have to earn A's and B's to get into these university places, in most cases more A's than B's, and you end up in the second year with a bunch of these people from abroad who clearly aren't as academically minded as you, yet get in because of the money they have. I mean, that is ridiculous. I could understand it a bit more if they were at least, I could understand the scam a bit more if they were trying to squeeze more money out of them and say, okay, you're on this foundation course, that's actually 4 years rather than 3. But no, they're not even doing this scam right. They're just saying, oh, do the foundation course and then, yeah, you're on the normal second year course, that's fine. Like, if you're going to scam, at least scam well.
You don't, however, apply for the special pathway through the normal UCAS route.
If that doesn't scream dodgy, I don't know what else could. You have these, let's face it, seedy recruitment agents just openly saying, yeah, now we made things harder for British students and you can come through because you have money. And the fact you don't even have to apply through UCAS, which, again, for those that don't know, it's just a universal application institution that deals with all university applications. It's just crazy that there's this it's right to call it a backdoor entry, because the front door clearly is UCAS. You go through this institution to get to your university, and they handle all the admin between that. But this backdoor one where they have their own recruitment agent companies who say, hey, we can make you a lot more money with foreign students, just, let them in through the back door. I don't think there's a better example of a scam than this. This is the most blatant one I've seen in Britain for a while.
And the cost?
For international year 1, we only have 3 terms, and that's the fees for it.
That's 22.
22,645.
Okay, that's an absolutely absurd number. For reference, your average university fee is £9,000 a year. This is over double that price. It's no wonder universities are so eager to keep these backdoors open. It effectively means that a foreign student is worth double that of a national student. And again, it just means that universities are now cash cows, which they should never have been. And it doesn't help that pretty much everyone in the UK says you'll never get anywhere without a degree. Everything in the UK throughout the education institutions are set up to send everybody they can to university. And I wouldn't be surprised if the incentive structure is set up to keep that going, i.e. maybe there's a lot of MPs who have stakes in universities and so they need them to succeed in this way. Or maybe it is just as simple as it's high status to think universities are good actually and everyone in the UK should go to them, which I just think is ridiculous. I want to see more people in work instead.
Next, again posing as foreign parents, we approached Durham University to see if the low IQ children would also be accepted.
Oh my god, what does he mean by low IQ? I highly doubt he means anyone under IQ of 85. Surely this has got to mean like 90 odd. And also for reference, I've never seen a university base entry requirements on IQ, so again, that feels like a very strange sentence and bar for me.
My son Jack is he's just doing his GCSEs at the moment. He's also not particularly bright.
I just love the idea of trying to get your son into uni and openly saying he's a bit of a moron. I'd have said a worse word for that if it meant that I could be monetised, but I'll leave that out for now. But again, I suppose this is the privilege of hindsight, but can these recruiters not smell a rat? And what I'm trying to say by that is this is so normalised and so almost not seen as a bad thing to do by these recruitment agencies that they're not even worried about getting caught. They'll just be in these interviews with these people who clearly aren't foreign and who are saying, I've just got to say it, incredibly weird things about their own children. That they clearly don't have this kind of defense mechanism in place in their brains. They just say, oh yeah, no, this is such a cash cow and I've been doing this for so long that I don't even need to worry about it. That's how ingrained this scam is. That's what I'm trying to say. It's so ingrained that there's no defense mechanism with these recruiters. They're just taking everyone at their word and not worried about if they are being investigated.
Okay, so we do accept GCSE students, so as long as they can get at least 5 academic subjects, 3 above.
So again, just for context for international people, typically students in the UK will do between 9 and 11 GCSEs. I think I got 11. I may even have done 12 actually, I can't remember. And obviously a C and above is just simply a pass. Now, entry requirements into a lot of the colleges I was looking at were effectively have a very good number of A's and B's. And A stars in about 3 subjects were pretty much guaranteed to go through. And even when I ended up failing Spanish, I was still put through to all the colleges. And my mum made me redo Spanish because she wasn't having a son that had a failed GCSE, so I ended up getting a C in Spanish. I absolutely hate languages, and I think that's what has informed my hatred of foreigners. Anyway, the fact you only need 5 GCSEs to get on a university course is absolutely insane to me. That is quite literally the bare minimum bar for academic achievement. 5 Cs at GCSE, and no doubt 2 of them are going to have to be in English and maths. And yet we are in a Britain that says, right, British students, you've got to get straight A's in everything to get to these universities. International students, you can quite literally be the bare minimum academic to get in here. How is it fair? The answer is not, and they don't care because they get money.
So just now you mentioned 3B, 3C. Yeah. That's meeting the requirement.
People at GCSE that were getting 3Bs and 3Cs, they were not academic people. They were people that were barely revising, trying to coast through, and the only reason that they got those were because they were forced to go to revision sessions. They literally had to be forced to work to actually get those grades because, yeah, my school was pretty much on the side of get these kids the highest grade they can at all costs. In other words, yes, once again, 3 Bs, 3 Cs at GCSE, that it screams to me of someone who is not particularly academic, and yet these academic institutions that are supposed to be elite, letting them in. Not just letting them in, actually, encouraging them to come in because it's effectively a free £22,000. I mean, they probably wouldn't even care if they just completely fail throughout the time at university there. They're getting £22,000 a year. One of these students makes over £66,000 in their time at university for this university. It's just absurd.
And would that guarantee him a place at Durham University if he was to be accepted?
Okay, so yes, he can study the foundation course. So after complete the foundation course, meeting the requirement, he can progress to a degree study.
And that means second year, by the way. I'm not exactly sure how these foundation courses start, but they don't sound as academically rigorous as the university's official first years. Again, from pretty much everyone I know, first year is effectively trying to get everyone up to the same level, so that then from year 2 onwards, everyone's got the same assumed knowledge, and therefore we can actually test people's knowledge properly. Because when it comes to adding up your total marks for your degree course, first year marks don't count for anything. It's literally a year where you can just mess about, and as long as you don't completely fail first year, you won't get kicked out. And I know people that got kicked out at the start of second year because they had an abysmal first year. As long as you get the minimum requirements of passing everything in first year, you'll get through to second year. I wouldn't be shocked if foundation year courses have a lower bar than that.
Tuition fees, we were told, would be £25,000 a year.
Oh my lord, it's even more for Durham University. £75,000 they will make off one student for going for 3 years. If they could squeeze another year out of them, 100,000. Total scam.
Some of the family, they rather prefer to spend some money to have a better chance to go into the good degree.
I don't think you can find a better example of openly asking for a bribe than that. Some of the other families, they give some more money, so that their child can definitely get into the university. Giving more money, that'll help you, I'm sure. Oh, what's that? You're leaving a money clip on the desk? Oh, this is all 50s? Oh, isn't that nice of you?
We asked what were the children's chances of passing the course and getting onto a Durham degree.
I think it would be quite easy for them, yeah.
As I said before, I'm sure what he's trying to say here is that the bar's very low. They'll definitely get onto a degree course. Yeah, they'll definitely get a degree. The thing is, if they're not academically gifted and are just there because of the money, you're probably going to end up with either a third or completely failing the degree. And again, just for reference, getting a third for your degree, that's 40 to 50% marks. That's quite a low standard for earning a degree, in my opinion. I was always surprised when it was that low. And then I did a degree, realised that they were actually quite difficult and could understand the low marks.
Especially they are native English speakers, so shouldn't be any issue.
Well, at least they clearly have the bar that if you can speak English well, you have a better chance. I suppose, at the very least, we have that from this whole debacle.
What's the pass rate for native English speakers?
What I feel is about 100%. I got a student from Australia. I got a student from Canada. I never see that real.
Oh, well, lucky them. But this is essentially the bar we're looking at here for foreign students. Are you at the most very basics of bars doing okay academically? Are you passing the bar? Oh, you are good. How good's your English? Oh, you're from Australia? Yeah, come right in. Pay us £100,000. That'd be great. And given it's the most common second language in the world, I wouldn't be shocked if most people coming over actually have English as their second language anyway. They're competent speaking English, but not native speakers. I mean, I just don't know how unfair it has to get for everyone to think that this is an injustice. I mean, luckily with this, I think most people think it's an injustice, but you're still seeing the odd leftist saying, oh, what's wrong with this? What's wrong with giving a chance to foreign students? As if they think every foreign student is some from Africa third world country. Anyway, the Times then reached out to these universities to get some comments on it, and here's what some of them had to say. A spokesperson for Into said, "Our programs are intensive and high quality and meet all the UK requirements." Exeter University said, "All its applicants, whether from the UK or abroad, are considered on merit and equally when they apply to study. All offers are competitively set to attract the very best students from across the world." Just total nonsense. I don't know why they'd even try and lie like that. They've been caught red-handed, lowering the bar to effectively the bottom of the Mariana Trench when it comes to foreign student applicants who get through the back door. Representatives for Amber Education said the company gives advice to students on their potential prospects of being accepted to universities through the official pathways, taking into account the applicable requirements of the universities and the student's situation and background. It said students are required to meet the entrance requirements set by the universities. Again, just total nonsense. I don't even know why they're trying to lie this blatantly. Again, caught red-handed, and then they'll just lie to your face. These institutions hate you. And if you think you hate them enough, trust me, you don't. But at the very least, at least Durham University just declined to comment. I think that gives me more respect to them than anyone else. At least they're trying to bury their heads in the sand and not lie to us. Anyway, I think it's about time we got to the statistics of what all this has meant. And luckily the Times article has done pretty well at laying all of this out. Foreign students pay up to $38,000 in tuition fees, which is just insane, given that at the UK we're capped at £9,250, which they added £250 since I went to uni. I wonder how much that's really getting unis in the long run. In the decade before the pandemic, the number of UK students being accepted by top universities dropped significantly, while admissions of overseas students escalated rapidly. Imagine my shock. Demand for lucrative foreign students is so great that universities advertise their courses in the Middle East, Africa and Asia and use recruitment agencies. And apparently they also advertise in Canada, New Zealand, Australia, all over the world. There are 15 Russell Group universities that offer special one-year pathway courses that allow overseas students to gain access to undergraduate degrees with far lower A-level or GCSE grades than normal requirements. They are Durham, Bristol, Exeter, Warwick, Nottingham, Leeds, Manchester, Newcastle, Liverpool, Cardiff, Sheffield, Birmingham, Southampton, Queen Mary University of London, and Queen's University Belfast. And whether that's just the ones the Times have found or not, I'm not sure, but given that there are 24 Russell Group universities, that means over half of them are involved in this scam, which is just absolutely absurd. You want to get to a Russell Group university? Well, you thought the competition was bad with the amount of UK students who want to go there. Wait till you see the scam they're involved in of foreign students that are taking your place because they can offer apparently over 4 times the money that you can offer. Absolutely insane. And I mean, just take a look at this table. The uneven playing field. Pretty much everything for UK students in all of these universities. It's either A stars, A's and B's you need to get in. Mostly A's. When it comes to the overseas foundational courses, mostly D's. Not even C's, mostly D's. And in fact, Queen's Mary University needs 3 C's at AS level. AS level is the first year of your A levels. You do them over 2 years. And trust me, the AS levels are much easier than the A levels. But then they can also just guarantee people from GCSE years, and they need, again, on average 5 Bs, which from my experience means that you're pretty average academically. At least Warwick has the capacity to ask for 4 A's, but even 4 A's isn't that difficult. I think I got 8. I mean, how anyone can defend this is beyond me. And it's shocking me, honestly shocking me, that the universities are even trying to lie about this. International Foundation is a 1-year course at the end of which students are moved onto the university's full-time undergraduate course. Most of the universities allow overseas students to start studying the pathway course aged 16 or 17. On International Year 1, students take the course as an alternative to the degree's first year before moving straight onto Year 2 of an undergraduate programme. Neither of the 2 pathways are available to British students. Now, it's something I saw people defending this, saying, oh, well, foundation year is actually an extra year before they go on to the first year of university. It's just, help them get a leg up in case they're behind academically or something like that. No, it's just a complete alternative to Year 1. And in fact, students on the pathways have to pass exams at the end of the year before joining the undergraduate degree. However, universities' recruitment officials admitted that the exams were so easy that passing was a formality. So, again, it's literally just a bribe to get a free degree. That's all these are. Because the fees will be anywhere between 3 and 4 times the amounts that they will get from student loans. There are no official figures on how many students use these backdoor routes. For the pathways, foreign students typically apply direct to the university or the private companies running the course, rather than through official UCAS application procedure. Sheffield University says that 10,200 foreign students have gone directly into its degree courses from the special pathways in the past 3 years. 10,200. Just to put that into perspective, that is pretty much equivalent to saying that at the moment there are 10,200 people currently studying at the University of Sheffield on a basic 3-year course at the University of Sheffield. And according to their own statistics, Sheffield is one of the UK's most popular places for students to go to university, and more than 30,000 students from over 150 countries come to the University of Sheffield every year. Using rough estimates, that means that over a third of their students have got through on these foundational courses. A third of their students using quite rudimentary basic statistics. Given the argument that only one person coming through on this type of university course is too many, a third is obviously completely and utterly ridiculous, and is something that needs to be addressed. Only one other university has disclosed the number of students entering its degree course by these routes. The rest declined our request to disclose the figures, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's because those figures are much higher. Cardiff claimed the recruitment of overseas students was highly competitive, and releasing its pathway figures would damage its commercial interests. Oh no, we're a very competitive university. Just ignore the fact that half our students get through on formalities because they have a lot of money. Absolutely unbelievable scenes. I'm usually quite generous when it comes to corruption. I say corruption has happened all the time throughout time. We're probably in a less corrupt time now than we have been in the past, but when it comes to universities, I don't think I can fairly say that. They are quite clearly trying to hide this absolutely embarrassing scam, and it's no wonder that they're trying to lie about this and just completely hiding all the statistics they have on it, because it will just completely destroy their reputation. I absolutely love this bit. Analysis of degree results show that students from outside the European Union have been performing far worse than UK students. They are more than twice as likely to receive a lower second or third class degree. I mean, in their defence, I got a lower second class degree. By half a freaking percent. Oh, Professor Geoffrey Alderman, visiting fellow from Oxford Centre for Higher Education Policy Studies, said some lecturers had to pitch teaching at a lower level because foreign students were not able to cope with the normal teaching provided on a degree. Academics have to gear their teaching towards their student body, and the teaching can sometimes become rote learning. The British students are just expected to sink or swim, he said. One lecturer from a London university, speaking anonymously, said the poor English of some overseas students was affecting teaching. They might struggle to keep up on the courses, especially with the written work, and this can mean more work for me and a slower pace for the rest of the students in class. All because they want to make an extra few million a year, the universities. Which, again, given the amount of money I have seen universities waste in my own experience, there's no way that they need it. So, moving on, according to the Higher Education Statistics Agency, overseas students take a third of all UK university places. The number increased from 469,000 to 689,000 between 2018 and 2022, which is an increase of about 50%. And as you can see from the map, the vast majority of them come from China, with India following behind, and then America, Australia, and then most of Europe. Which is another issue that a lot of people don't seem to like talking about. We seem to have a lot of Chinese subversion coming into our universities, but they give us a load of money, so the universities are fine with it, and is honestly part of the reason we're probably seeing so much demoralisation coming from the universities. This trend was particularly pronounced at Rust Group universities. In the decade before the pandemic, they boosted the number of lucrative foreign entrants by 21,000, while the number of UK entrants fell by 15,000. This contributed to the biggest rejection rate of domestic applicants yet recorded in 2022, with 4 out of 10 UK candidates turned away. Oof. Many of Britain's universities are in financial crisis. They are heavily dependent on tuition fees, which account for half of their funding. But tuition fees for the UK students have risen by only £250 since David Cameron's government raised the cap to £9,000 a year. But the costs have soared because of the energy bill rises, inflation-fueled cost increases, and compensation for students affected by lecturers' strike over pay and pensions. My God. Not to mention the pay and pensions themselves. The universities have attempted to fill the gap by luring foreign students. There is no cap on tuition fees for overseas students. So yeah, it's literally nothing but greed, and all thanks effectively to the change in the university systems that made it this lucrative? As I say, all polytechnic colleges changed to university so that they could end up with all these students going to them to do completely useless degrees. Again, I have so many stories of people going to university, doing useless degrees, and then going out and having basic admin's jobs that they definitely didn't need a degree for. It's embarrassing. Moving on to details of these courses, Exeter and Into offer a second pathway for overseas students called an International Foundation course. It was set up to help overseas students transition into the UK higher education system by allowing them to pay for an extra year of study after school and improve their language skills before they start their degree, so at least they are squeezing another year out of them. But in many cases, students are not required to have studied to an A-level standard or to have finished school. One of the reporters explained to Into representatives at Exeter that the son was not expected to get particularly good GCSE grades. So could he still get in? And as we saw, he could have, because all they need is a few C's. But this graphic is quite handy for telling you just how easy it is for international students. So for your standard UCAS application, you need to be 18 or over. You have to apply through UCAS. Grade requirements for top courses are straight A's. The course, you start the degree in year 1, and the typical cost is about £9,250 for UK students or £25,000 for foreign students. Moving on to this extra year foundation course, you need to be 16 or over. You directly apply to the university or the partner company. Lowest grade requirements for these top courses are 5 GCSE C grades, which is basically just passing some GCSEs. The course is an additional year of tuition, and you start the degree in year 1, and the typical cost, again, is between £20,000 to £25,000, an absurd amount of money. Finally, looking at international in year 1, you need to be 18 or over and apply directly to the university or partner firm again. For A-level, you need 2Ds or equivalent, which is slightly more than just a pass, but is still not very good. That's, I believe, 60% or over. Or no, sorry, 50% or over. The course is 1 year of tuition, and you start the degree in year 2, and the typical cost is similar to that of a foundation year at £20,000 to £25,000. It is ridiculously on the side of foreign students, this system, that, again, it is just a national scandal. It needs to be addressed. This can't carry on. And honestly, the easiest way to address this is just to shut down most of the universities. We don't need 250 universities. We can tell we don't need 250 universities because pretty much every graduate scheme is slowly but surely just putting the degree on as a formality, and they're basing who they're hiring off who has the most experience. Your university course won't matter much for much longer. It will just be a formality between the years of 18 and 21 years old to try and help with the unemployment statistics. Now, to finish this off, I think we should quickly talk about just how much money these companies make. Another of the companies running foundation courses at universities in Study Group, which started as a language school in Brighton more than 30 years ago and claims to be the largest provider of international students to higher education institutions, is making £119 million in revenues in 2022. So all this grifting for international students makes quite a healthy sum in 1 year. Considering the number of students getting through with them is probably in the tens of thousands, yeah, you can easily see how they are making 20 odd and more thousand per student from this endeavour. It's just a massive scam. There's no other way around it. And the fact they've all been either silent or trying to completely deny it really does just go to show how university these days is just a massive scam. But as I said in the video yesterday, it's not a scam if you choose the correct subjects and you actually are going into a field where you will need a degree. If you're planning to work as a nuclear physicist, for instance, definitely look at doing a physics degree. But if you're looking to be some sort of entrepreneur or businessman, it's not really necessary to go to university to get those skills. You will get much better skills by going straight into the workforce. Trust me, I have learned more about business by joining a small company than I ever did in a corporation or university. It's just the right way to go. And when I joined university, I didn't know where I was going to go. I thought I might want to do something in geology and become some sort of investigative or exploratory geologist. Turns out I didn't want to do that, but that doesn't matter. If you think you want to do that, that's the reason to go to university. Otherwise, you are just getting into debt for no reason. Just save your money on the income payments that you will end up paying on your university degrees and go into an apprenticeship, go into an entry-level job. You'll find yourself much happier. Anyway, that's everything I had for you today. So, once again, thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, share this with all sorts of people you think might find this interesting, and as usual, until next time, Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.